Mushrooms, for some reason, always fascinated me. I don't know what exactly fascinated me about them, but I enjoyed admiring them for hours on end. Finding a weird or unique one was like an archaeologist finding a bone of a new animal. They were cool, but nothing like these ones coming up. Here are the top 10 weirdest looking mushrooms in the world. Shaggy Ink Cap. At first it just looks like an ordinary-ish white mushroom, just a little thinner and fuzzier. But with closer inspection, by which I mean a little more time passes, and the mushroom starts leaking tar. Well, not tar, but it looks like it, right? Interestingly, only near death does the cap actually recede to the top, revealing most of the stem and decays into a dripping black liquid formation. And you know, that's why this one must be loved. It's like the fungus that was boring for most of its life, then realized something and started showing its true colors. Or maybe it was just, scared. Meet the Morel, an odd honeycomb pattern shroom that has the easiest Latin name to pronounce on this list. The Morel is found in more northern regions like Turkey, China, North America, India, Pakistan, and almost everywhere in Michigan. Several of the mushrooms on this list can be ingested, but this is the only edible one here, and is constantly served as a delicacy in several parts of the world. Its flavor isn't easy to describe, but is said to taste meaty and nutty, best with butter, which is oddly how I pictured it tasting like. The golden nectar we see before the screen is actually a fungus. It looks like a normal mushroom to me, but like crippled and wrapped in yellow transparent plastic. It's found in higher temperature areas like Asia, Africa, Australia, Southern Europe, Northern South America, and Southern North America. Northern South America and Southern North America, by the way, is not Central America. However, it grows there too. Its edibility is low and is said to be completely flavorless. But if you confuse it with honey, don't worry too much, it's not poisonous. The Radice or wrinkled peach is an odd mushroom that primarily grows in Ireland or the United Kingdom. It has a web-like pattern on its cap and exudes a yellow substance out of its stem. Despite this, it has been rated the most beautiful British mushroom. However, the wrinkled peach is endangered because its food source, elm trees, are becoming more obsolete throughout the previous years. That's not a good thing. We're losing two for the price of one. It's said to have a bitter taste, and one taster said it was sweet. I think the one guy was sick because those are very they're not very similar definitions. This might surprise you, but this picture was not taken underwater. Yeah, it's actually the purple coral mushroom, or Clavaria zollingeri, looked at from an odd angle to make it look like it's under the sea. It's been seen in Australia, North and South American countries, parts of Asia like India and Korea, and rarely in Europe, including Denmark, Ireland, and the UK. It's not rough like coral, and isn't poisonous. However, that doesn't mean you should eat it if you're one of the lucky finders. I don't expect many of you to feel suddenly hungry when you see it, but uh, I have nothing to back me up for that one. Remember the morel mushroom from like 5 minutes ago? Well, there's a second one, the false morel. Also known as the brain fungus or redhead, this one is actually not edible. Far from it. It's the most poisonous one on this list. which is ironic because it's named after the only one on this list that is edible. The shroom is named the False Morel because some people would confuse the two. How is beyond me, but they would still get them confused. People think that you can eat it as long as it's well prepared, but unless if you cook it to the point where it's just ash, you won't even know that you've been poisoned because the poison isn't noticeable until it's too late. Like the wrinkled peach, this one oozes an odd gelatin-like substance, but this one does it to a way more extreme level. The Hydnellum pecki, or more aptly named the bleeding tooth fungus, grows in North America and Europe, and only shows red in its younger ages. The red goo is the result of the mushroom's guttation. Guttation is basically when an organism like plant or mushroom starts seeping a liquid. Ironically enough though, the red liquid has anticoagulant properties, which in fact prevents blood from clotting. So it lets blood flow more. Essior rubra, or starfish fungus / starfish stinkhorn, is that. As you might have guessed, the stinkhorn is called the stinkhorn because it produces an odd smell. The unique aroma comes from a reeking brown goo in the core of the cap of the mushroom that attracts insects, mostly flies. But before you judge, hear this. That goo latches spores to the unsuspecting insects, and unknowingly, the insects proliferate the spores around the world. Not only that, but it prevents predators from attacking it. This is a really cool thing that all stinkhorn members do. Well, actually, this mushroom has only been seen in Hawaii and rarely South Carolina. So only where the insects want to go, I guess. This is the Phallus undulatus, or velated lady. However, I like to call it the fishnet shroom. Phallus undulatus in its final form grows an odd skirt with hexagonal holes in it. Before its final form, it's an egg form, which it sprouts out of. The mushroom's edibility is low, but it's thought to be edible as an egg, which I guess makes some sense since eggs have a history of being edible, but its edibility isn't determined. This mushroom is found in Mexico, India, Japan, China, Malaysia, Taiwan, Australia, and a few South American and African countries, including Brazil, Guyana, Nigeria, Uganda, Congo, etc. And another thing is the shroom is said to harbor antibiotic properties. Like the previous two, the Clathus rhubarb is a stinkhorn, and also grows in more temperate areas, like Turkey, Iran, Algeria, and the southern US. This legitimately looks like one of those orange dog toys, if you know what I mean. It's so crazy looking. You just can't help but... This one also sprouts out of an egg, like the previous one. That's also a stinkhorn family trait. But unlike the previous one, the egg supposedly gives you indigestion problems. And I feel like that's a great note to end it off. And yeah, despite their looks, they really are entertaining organisms. If you have a top 10 you want me to do, put it in the comments below and it could become a future video. Was there a mushroom that I missed? There are a lot of mushrooms in the world. For example, there's one in my backyard that grows sometimes that looks like a yellow Animata muscaria. And it slowly grows from like an egg to a plate to a cup. I should probably end off here. Thanks for watching. Hadiet.